Oh, it's gonna be worse. Well, there's so many horrible things that are gonna happen. A little nervous about doing that, but that's what I'm doing.
that we used to be able to go up in. Anyway, glad to have you here, but I know this is going to be a small group, and then the ballots are going to be in the mail, and then you'll be able to make your decisions. So today we have members of the board are here. Can you board members raise your hand? Right? And we also have Roger, who's going to do the presentation. And then there'll be questions after that. But it probably won't be, you're probably not going to be here for an hour and a half. Yeah. When you see the people exiting, you'll know. But anyway, thank you so much for this presentation, and from Executive Catherine, and for Roger, who's the chair of the Finance Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. I want to warn you that for those of you who were here the last time, this is very much the same. So haven't changed any of the numbers. But I'm very encouraged that some of you who were here last time have come back. It just shows what a great performance I did. And I want to thank you all for that. So next slide, please. What we're going to do, again, is welcome everybody. We're going to review the budget process at our church. We're going to review this year's budget, then next year's budget, and then have time for questions and answers. I want to mention, next slide, please. The executive team is Reverend Allison, Catherine Esty, and they put together the budget and present it to the Finance Committee. Speaking of the Finance Committee, it's made up of Roger Robinson, Linda Craig, who is at Montlieu Bird Sanctuary, and Bob Bonner, who's here. And then our accounting advisory team, 2 CPAs, Linda's a CPA, and so is Joanne Four, and they provide us with great recommendations. We also have some wonderful congregants who are part of this team: Deb Dion, Ed McLaren, Karen Shawcross, Tony Obst, and Dave Hoffman. Tony and Dave joined us recently. Next slide, please. Points of interest. Do I have this right? No. Where are my steps? Hang on. All right. Step 3. We were at step 3. I won't go through step 1 or step 2, or else we will fill the hour and a half. Step 3 was an informational congregant session in March. I think a lot of people were here for that. Step 4 was when the board had a meeting in April. The Finance Committee presented the finance-approved budget to the board, and they thought it was great, so they approved it. And then this is going to be the final presentation to the congregation. Catherine informs me that everybody's going to get their informational packet this week. It's going out. And so that's going to have a lot of budget information too, in case you wanted to study it. Then the final step is in May, the congregation will vote on the approval of the budget. So, moving on. Points of interest. This is an optimistic budget. We have some sources that I will point out that we feel we'll be able to get more money this year, but it's going to take a little more effort. And we have ways of doing that, and I'll explain that as we move along. Using the reserves. I misspoke last time if you were here, and I said this will be the first time in at least 10 years that we have not used reserves. And those in the know said, no, that's not actually true, which is better news than what I said. It's that the ET has typically put in a line item of taking out from the reserves if needed. That's happened for at least 10 years. Fortunately, because of their eagle eyes and sharp pencils, we've not had to need it every year. But this is the first time in a long time where we're not calling upon the reserves to balance the budget. ERTC, Who doesn't know what ERTC is? All right, ERTC is Employer Retention Tax Credit, and that was provided by the IRS because of COVID. And what they wanted to do was to help out organizations who, what'd they do, Catherine? What's it about? Well, yeah, the retention, right, retention. So they wanted to help support that. Now, Paychex does our paychecks, and they applied for us to the IRS a while ago, a couple of years, right? But we haven't received word yet back on whether the IRS is going to like what was submitted and whether we're going to get the money. So we're going to use our legislators to encourage them to answer the question, are we going to get the money, and if so, how much? So that's in the works. So that's one of the things when I said it's an optimistic budget. It's one of the things we're going to be doing that helps boost our income. Next slide, please. All right. I want to go through the details, some of the details, not all of the details. We would be here all afternoon if I did that. This is a rundown of this year's budget, where we are right now. Everybody knows we're in a fiscal year. We do fiscal year from July to June, right? Everybody knows that? Good. Unlike calendar year. So we're in the middle, we're getting close to the end of. So anyway, I'll quit jabbering. For pledging, I've got the wrong paper. Hang on. This is part of my comic act. What page are we on? I know it's here somewhere. Okay, anyway, this year we raised $1.4 million in pledges. That's 64% of the budget. And you can see the other numbers. The highlighted ones are the ones I'm going to speak to. Tenant rental, $385,840 is 18% of our budget. Most of that comes from Northwest Academy, which rents Buchanan and other spaces. Program income, $35,000, and event rental, $25,000. All right, next slide, please. So that's it broken out graphically. So you can see the largest amount, obviously, are the pledge is the pledge, and then the rental income is the next largest, and then smaller ones. Next slide, please. All right, let's compare that with pledging for next year's budget. So we had 1.4 million, and everybody who participated in the pledge this year recognizes that we almost didn't make the 1.4. We had to have a match campaign of about $120,000 in order to get to the 1.4, but we did. So you're seeing 1.45 million. You're wondering, well, where's the 50,000 coming from? Our church is indeed growing, and there are members, and there are visitors to turn into members, and members pledge, and so we're counting on some of that, and and also increasing in pledging, which we will be working on. We are starting. Does everybody know what a stewardship committee is? Okay. Stewardship committee is a committee of congregants working with the ET who is going to be year-round looking at our budget and our income, especially our income. And we're going to be restarting that committee in the next couple of months. You'll be hearing from us soon. Stay tuned. And that's going to help increase the pledging, too. Let's go on down to plate. It's amazing how much money we take in every Sunday for the year. $68,000. is an amazing amount. We share that amount with, as you know, as everybody knows, we share that amount with great groups. Yeah, Catherine.
Just to note, we share half of that amount.
Yeah, half that amount. And then on to, well, let me mention now auction. It's a little tiny detail that's going to probably bore most of you, but it used to be that we would do the auction, and then the auction was not incorporated into the church budget. It was sort of a separate off-budget item and got spent that way. We decided that it would be better to incorporate it into the church's budget, and that therefore we can track it better and have a historical record of what we've done in the past. So that's now incorporated into the budget, $50,000. Shower project. That $20,000 that you see in the shower project is a grant. Was given to the church, and we're very grateful for that. Interest income is really interesting because the way banking used to work is you wouldn't get a whole lot of interest, but now things have changed, and the finance committee and the ET work together, and now we are going from 0 interest to $25,000 at least this year. Who knows how much? But so that's great. Another 25 grand, 50 grand from ERTC, which is what I had mentioned before. Keep your fingers crossed that our legislatures will do what we hope they will, and the IRS will let us know. Tenant rental is budgeted for $30,000 less than last year. One of the reasons for that is you may not be aware, but the church has been renting that greenhouse. Everybody know what the greenhouse is? No. Yeah, on 13th, Jim. Yeah. It's an actual house that's been there for at least 100 years, and we built around it. And it's a 2-story house, and Outside In has rented it for a long time. Now they've told us they're not going to be doing that anymore. So we won't be getting that income. So that's reflected there. Yeah, Jim? No, that's a complicated issue that's would take a CPA to explain to you. I'm sorry. Jim's asking about whether the budget shows our income because Outside In. Catherine, you want to take that?
Jim, it's an end-of-year adjustment by our accountants for that land lease that you're speaking about, or I think that's what you're speaking about. So it's not really like new income that we would be seeing on the budget.
We have a sick.
Jim, could I interrupt? I think, first of all, what Roger said is good, that it takes a good accountant to explain it. And to let you know, we absolutely include that information as a year-end accountant adjustment for that land lease.
Oh, okay. All right. Just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Then the next item is what I mentioned before. Next highlighted item is drawing from reserves. We won't be, the budget balances without doing that, as long as we get income from other sources. Next slide, please. So here's the graphic showing, it looks very much like the other graphic from this year. All right. Next slide, please. So we're now going to look at expenses. This is the year we're in right now. Obviously, most of the money goes to payroll for all of our good people, 1.6 million. And I won't run through the other numbers. I will open the floor if anybody has a question about any of these other line items. Otherwise, I won't bore you with reading everything else. Okay, so next slide, please. That's the pie chart indicating the expenses for this year. Next slide, please. So the only big difference in the next year's budget is, well, I do want to go through some of the other ones too. So, but the biggest difference is, if you recall, this year's budget, we have a budget of 1.6 million for payroll. It's dropped down to 1.52. That has been achieved by not hiring people. So is it correct, Catherine, if we say it's a bare bones staff, or?
Yes, 100% correct.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. We have bare bones staff now. Other ways of saving money is we're reducing professional services, which is their attorneys, accountants, and that sort of thing. We're hiring fewer guest ministers next year. There are increases in utilities and web services that we can't do anything about, so we have to take that into account. Programs are being reduced by 63,000. Catherine, you want to explain that?
One of the major decreases there has to do with what had been an annual music retreat that was many, many thousands of dollars, and that will not be happening. I mean, like 30,000. So that's a pretty significant impact to not be holding that retreat.
Yeah, thank you. And other retreats, we're reducing that amount, and then other shavings. So anybody have any questions about that? Andrew.
We have to be on this for our live stream people to hear it.
Am I wrong in recalling that there was a non-refundable deposit for the music retreat that was in the prior years, in this year's budget?
That's correct. We did not know about this changes in music, and so we were obligated. We had signed a previous year's contract, and we were able to shave off some of it with the negotiation with the retreat center, but in fact we paid a big chunk of money in the current year for that retreat. Yep.
Anything else? Jim.
Well, I guess I had just have an overall question here. We're a growing church, right?
Yes.
You said we're growing. Why are we cutting?
Why are we cutting? I think the short answer to that is it's cash flow. It has to do with cash flow. So we anticipate the money for next year. Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm sorry. Why are we cutting payroll?
Why are we cutting anything? If we're a growing church, why aren't we making sure we keep Garrett Bond? Why aren't we replacing Danielle with another intern minister when we're a growing church? I know we're not. And
yeah, I think that's
my question. Why are we not replacing?
Catherine?
We're a growing church, and the past several years we have been declining in membership and in pledges. So, Jim, that's the reason. And we're more
people but fewer pledges?
That's incorrect. We have fewer people, which means fewer pledges.
I thought we were a growing church.
We are
We're growing from a reduced amount. I mean, I think now we definitely hit. Oh, Bob, do you want to speak to this?
So actually, if you look at the trends that have been going for quite a while, so the church really had a peak membership around 2000, and then in the last 10 years, the membership has been decreasing, and then COVID had a big effect, and the recent controversy within the church had an effect on pledging. So all of that is and that's one reason why over the last 10 years we've been using reserves and cutting, essentially spending down the reserves. So this is looking to how do we stabilize things right now, and then hopefully with the stewardship committee and new members coming in, we will start seeing that growth of income. We're also working on renegotiating the contract with Northwest Academy, which would increase the income there, but we haven't done that yet. So there's a hope that in the future we will be growing our revenue stream and able to increase our budget accordingly. But right now we're really trying to deal with this long-term trend of spending beyond our means and using our reserves.
And the other point is that we have a union for our sextons and a few other people, I believe. And so that has to be negotiated every 2 years. Is that correct? Varies. Right. And so that increases costs, and also we want to pay our non-union folks as well. So there are increases that are built in. So that's part of it.
All right.
Thank you both. Thank you.
Anything else on this slide? Next slide, please. It's going to show you the graphic. Once again, large part is payroll. Okay, next slide, please. So some of the church goals that we're shooting for, that this budget is going to support, is enhancing the website and social media. We've been working on that for a couple of years now, right? And we are seeing some wonderful returns on that. People finding out about us and coming to visit through those efforts. So that's very important. Growing the membership and friendship. Everybody knows Jen Thomas, maybe? Wonderful staff person who is encouraging, welcoming new visitors into the church. And so we celebrated adding, 30 to 40 new members this past year, which is a great thing. Recruiting volunteers and equipped leaders. This church is, in the past year or so, has started encouraging people to get involved in their church through volunteers. And I'm happy to say that the congregation is responding. And so I have this wonderful group of volunteers that help me, the treasurer, make wise decisions in congregation, with the ET on how to get income and how to spend the money. And it's a great experience. And then promote generosity. That's one of the things the stewardship committee is going to do, is to encourage generosity in your time or your finances. Next slide, please. So the future events, the ballots get mailed, and then don't forget, on Zoom, there's going to be a presentation of bylaw changes. There are 2 bylaw changes that are going to be explained. We had a session here, right? Was that last week? Last week here. For those who missed that, go to the calendar, church calendar on the church website, and there will be a link for the Zoom for Wednesday evening at 7. And then May 18th, is it May 18th? The ballots are due. All right, next slide, please. All right. Are there any more questions? Are there comments? Ruth.
On your first slide on income, I believe you projected income of 1.45. Is that right?
And pledges.
Pledges, right. And you said we have received that now. Well, have you, it's only April. Did you guess that you're going to receive that? Have you factored a shrinkage on all of those income figures? I wondered how they're derived, because we've got 2 more months.
The 1.45 million represents matching the goal of 1.4 million that we just, when we went through the fund drive, our goal was 1.4 million, and we have pledges of 1.4 million because of the match that occurred at the end of the pledging AFD.
My question is, how much of that are you going to actually collect?
Ah,
You figured in the fact that the pledges
yes.
for the receipt is money in the bank, and they don't usually match.
Yes. That's happened. That typically happens every year, and that has been taken into account in the details that I didn't bore you with. Yeah. Catherine, would you give Ruth the?
They are estimates, and again, that 1.45 million is for next year, not the year that we're in now. Our current year is 1.4 million, 25, 26.
The slide he showed of 24, 25.
Right, and that's a million four, not a million 4.5. That's. Can you back up a few slides, folks? There.
And that was 1.4. Okay.
Would you, Catherine? Would you give her the mic? Thanks.
I still am not clear how you can show receipts for a year when the year hasn't all happened yet. How do you?
Okay.
Yeah, Bob can explain.
So this is great. I have so many helpers.
Well, in the budget, and Catherine could speak to this, the monthly budgets we have for the revenue stream where we are in terms of the percentage of the annual amount, and so she could talk to where we are in terms of that 1.4 at this point in the year, in the budget year.
Thanks, Bob. And to say, it's always an estimate. And it all depends, again, this gets into the whole, it comes up every single year. Geez, our fiscal year and people's pledging years do not line up. And part of it depends on, does somebody pay their 2025 pledge before June, or do they wait until the second half of the year? So yes, they're estimates. And every year the write-offs, people that aren't able for whatever reason to fulfill a pledge, that varies a huge amount from year to year. We can sometimes just write off 2 or 3%, sometimes we write off 5 or 6%, so it's an estimate.
My concern was that I didn't see any line item that showed you were anticipating adjustments to that income.
Yeah.
We don't show it as a line item. We, again, our estimate for the pledge revenue is what we're estimating is the net income. We don't specifically have a line that writes it off. Yep.
Thank you, Ruth. Anybody else?
Well, this may be a little bit grandiose, but I don't know about how many of you watched the Pope's funeral, but it was just astounding. They had 255,000 people attended the funeral, and then they rode in the Pope Mobile. There were hundreds of thousands of people that turned out. My point is this: that Pope was the Pope of the people, and if we keep putting people in our pulpits like we've had, there are such tremendous preachers, and we have such great music, I think we're going to get a lot of people that are going to come to this church, and we're going to get more and more income. And so I'm really optimistic about where we're going. I just think, Donald Trump finally found somebody that cares about something other than himself, and that's the Pope. And the result was hundreds of thousands of people turned out, and I think we're going to get, in a small way, a big turnout of new people in this church. So I'm optimistic.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
I share your optimism. Any other questions? All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming. That's the end of my great presentation. I know, half hour. But thanks for coming, and have a good Sunday afternoon. Oh, Leslie has something to say. Before your applause, hold your applause.
I'd like to encourage all of you fine people to come to the board meeting, either in person or online, and it is the first Wednesday of the month. So it's the 7th this month. And we've had a few technical difficulties getting in, but hang in there and come and see. There's going to be a presentation on the Right Relations Committee at this board meeting, and I think you'll want to know more about that. So please do come. Well, it's 7 p.m., and the Right Relations Committee will probably be more like at 8 o'clock, somewhere around there. But we have interesting things we say, so come on. The 7th.
Wednesday, May 7th at 7 p.m.
And the number, or the link is on the board website.
And on the church, 7 p.m. Thanks, tech folks.